Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Olga Peña, and I am a biomedical scientist and a volunteer for the Canadian Science Policy Conference. And it is my pleasure to interview today Dr. Aubie, who is the president of the Friends for CHR. So, Dr. Angel, can you tell us a little bit more about the history and the latest projects of Friends of CHR?
Well, history is very interesting. It's almost 20 years that our organization began in 1997 when MRC still existed. I was tasked with establishing an organization called Alumni and Friends of MRC.
Oh.
And that was headed by Dr. Henry Friesen, who was responsible for the transition and creation of the Canadian Institutes of Health Research that happened in 2000. And in 2000, we changed our name from Alumni and Friends of MRC to Friends of CIHR.
Okay.
And it's been in operation since. So it's now 17 years since I've been president
Wow.
of Friends of CIHR. And it gets better every year.
Fantastic. So what are the latest projects that you guys have been doing?
Well, it's very interesting because we began by promoting science and society, assisting with and advocating for increased funding of research and supporting young people in research. This was our major focus. But for the past 4 or 5 years, we've become interested in policy, and hence our link with CSPC. So for the past 3 years or so, we've had roundtables and activities that touch on science policy as well as other activities. And our major activity continues, which is the Henry G. Friesen International Prize in Health Research, which was celebrated just all day yesterday. And today we had a roundtable on the future of graduate training in health, and also this afternoon a very interesting and plenary forum on artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
So this is our major new initiative, which is moving into important policy discussions that relate to science and its development in society.
That's fantastic. Yes, and that leads me to the next questions, which is, I understand that one of the goals of Friends of CHR is to establish community-based partnerships to assist in the achievement of its mission, which is to promote health research funding and communicates the benefits to society. So can you discuss, today we have different organizations that work in science communications and so on. So can you discuss how these organizations can partnership with Friends of CHR to fulfill these goals?
Well, the most obvious, of course, is this conference itself, CSPC, which has grown over the years and attracted wide interest amongst leaders, amongst policymakers, amongst politicians, and others interested in the academic programs in health. So that's one very obvious relationship. But in the past, we've linked up with the Royal Canadian Institute for Science, which is a really 100-year-old association that is committed to explaining science to a broader society. And last year and the year before, we collaborated with them on roundtables, and also the Banding Research Foundation, which supports young people in research. And all along, we've also had a continuing relationship with the Canadian Society for Clinical Investigation, which is a group of young scientists in early career, and sponsored Friends of CIHR lectureship there, which we continue to do. And Alex McKenzie from the University of Ottawa is going to speak to that society in several weeks as the FCIHR lecturer, and this is the way we link up with the younger generation and with society, with organizations that are well established in the community.
That's fantastic. So now moving more into your area of expertise, which is you are an endocrinologist, and your earliest research was in adipose tissue and lipid metabolism. So let's discuss a little bit more about what normally people are interested in this area, which is health and diets. So now people want to, change their diets because they want to have a healthy lifestyle, and one of those diets has been like the ketogenic diet, or many others that are out there in social media and different outlets and commercialization. So can you comment on to this and what should be the approach for this?
Well, it's the diet of the month, and you can reliably expect on a weekly or monthly basis, associated with highlighted events in the calendar, different diet suggestions that are novel.
Yeah.
And people are attracted to the novelty.
Yeah.
There's no question about the fact that people are interested in diets because food prevails in life. It's associated with family, it's associated with good times, celebrations. However, people are looking to food as for medicinal interests. And really what's very important, of course, is a balanced diet at appropriate amounts so that you don't become obese or too lean, but your nutrition is balanced. Now, the most current one that I was made aware of just last week is, of course, the ketogenic diet, which has been around a long, long time.
Yeah.
The whole idea was based on the notion that a ketogenic diet, that is when fat is being metabolized in the body, ketone bodies accumulate in the blood, and that has some effect on your eating behavior. And it's been known and demonstrated that a high-fat diet will blunt appetite for a short period of time. But it's unrealistic because people can't maintain that.
Maintain that, yeah.
Similarly, it was suggested to be very useful in dealing with epilepsy in children. The challenge is that there isn't really a randomized control diet study that can demonstrate definitively that a ketogenic diet for a prolonged period of time will actually affect the standard form of idiopathic epilepsy in children. So I'm very skeptical about this being adapted widely in society as an answer.
As well as healthy people, right? Because the research has been done in people with specific conditions, but healthy people, like, that are not really studied to that.
Expanding it, I would not. But I want to emphasize the fact that I'm not studying it, so I can't call them on my own experience in that regard. It's just a general comment.
Yeah, that's okay. So I know you mentioned or comment a little bit on this, but maybe you can just bring it out on a different level. So can you share your thoughts on the value of CSPC for the community that work in science and scientists and early career trainees?
CSPC is an interesting organization, and it's a credit to Dr. Merdad Hariri for recognizing this niche for an opportunity of exchange from a variety of organizations, institutions, knowledgeable people, thought leaders, policy and government to convene annually to address major topics of the day that relate to policy in health, in environment, in science, essentially in social issues. And it does bring together a very large community to talk about things that everybody's interested in that are important. And this is why I think this is of great value to the community, because it brings together knowledgeable people, people who think and study and analyze and who are authoritative, so that the comments that are made, the suggestions that surface, the recommendations that filter up from this kind of deliberation of key people is extremely valuable for people who are making decisions about investments, directions, and policy in society. Definitely. So I think it serves a great purpose. I'm pleased to be part of it.
I totally agree with that. Well, thank you so much for being here with us. We really appreciate your time, and hopefully you can enjoy the.
Thank you for.
Yeah, thank you too.
I wish you well, and Pseudomonas.